So, what do I think about Josh doing stupid things and 200 milers? Well, firstly, in the question, it's stupid.
Message here on the telephone, 'cause we've no idea when we're coming home. Any place we wander to, any season we go through, I'll be fine as long as I'm with you. Heaven knows, running round the world with you. When you smile, I smile too. How I ever made it without you.
So we include some race simulation sessions into our training to try and essentially simulate what's going to happen on the day. So not only Josh, who's running the race, but also the crew who are going to be with him, or anyone who's going to be pacing, to get a bit of an idea of what to expect, to also experiment what might work and what might not work for Josh and the team. And then also trial things such as nutrition strategies, clothing strategies, and other things in a situation that is going to be similar to race day. I think if you are crewing for an event like this, you basically need to be in a team with the runner. It's not just the runner and the crew, it's a team, you're doing it together. You need to be prepared essentially and have a plan and a backup plan for anything that can happen or go wrong. You need to try and put yourself into the runner's space and try and anticipate what they're going to need at the next aid station, even if they may not know what they're going to need. So adapting to conditions, adapting to hurdles that come up, obviously being an emotional support, because all the previous training prepares you very physically to get through the race. And obviously the longer runs prepare you mentally as well, but race day is a whole different kettle of fish. It's a whole different mental space, so you need to be able to be grounding mentally and keep them focused. Yeah, there's lots of roles for the crew. You make sure their nutrition's right, getting their sleep in, hydration, and all those usual things. But then that mental support and motivation, and just get them ticking through.
Has it ticked over?
0.2.
Oh,
lovely,
nice.
lovely.
So you can fill both of those up.
With water?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then I need to fill up these gel flasks.
Yes.
Is there a third gel flask in that esky that I left behind? And there should be an S-Fuels bar in there too, which I'll grab. And I'm going to change some clothes while I'm here. Yeah, 4 hours 47 through 50k.
Beautiful.
I'm feeling fine. I've been on top of nutrition and that's been really good. So energy levels have been fine.
Into the camera, into the camera.
Sorry. I'm doing good.
How are our feet?
Pretty dirty. So, like, the whole point of today is to test things out.
You're totally in it.
So just trying a few different shoe options and going through the whole process of changing shoes and socks like we will on race day. Like, it's nice to run a long way today and do that well, but more importantly is to test stuff out.
It didn't love it.
Yeah.
Decanting.
Joss and Dan far behind.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Matic walk in, he's ready, headphones on.
Very serious now.
Yeah.
So do you want me to keep looking for the S-Fuels bar?
Nah, that's right.
Do you want to take some chips?
No, I've got everything I need.
We've got coconut
Oh,
water.
it's right
water.
here. You know? Oh yeah, so that's another product that S-Fuels does. The bar.
Alright, time to go.
Did you take the knife from the hotel?
No, I had one.
Okay. I mean the motel, whatever
Right.
that was. Okay,
See you soon.
bye.
Who could find on through all these doors? Touring basement couches and living room floors. On to the next town, to the next show. Cause I went and caught a dream and I can't let go. Been trying to break into some boys club. They got cigars in that dry rub. I'd love to sing them on my songs, to see what I got. I wanted to get older, where the flowers hit the trees, where the lakes flow to the rivers and the rivers throw a breeze. Raise a couple kids, becoming honest man. I put 100,000 miles on this man, cause I'm a running man.
To Goolawah in the BVRT, 80 k's in, halfway along the BVRT. And this will be the first time that I see you guys, I'd say. 8 o'clock in the morning, But this has been good, but I'd like to finish now at 80k.
Nope. You get to finish at 100k. Your idea.
My stupid idea.
Nah. 10.
My worst fear at the moment is that I get to the finish in the cars and I've got like 200 meters to go.
A very crunchy one.
Alright, I need to keep going.
Yep.
See, I'm like 5 to 10k or something.
It turns a switch back on.
Give it a rhythm again.
I wanted to get older, where the flowers hit the trees, where the lakes flow to the rivers and the rivers throw a breeze. Raise a couple kids, becoming honest man. I put 100,000 miles on this man, cause I'm a running man. I'm a running man. I'm a running man. I'm a running man.
Now, last little jaunt back to get Josh. I thought about doing this. I kind of really don't feel like it now. My body's ready to start too, even though I've only done about marathon, not 100 Ks. But yeah, hopefully Josh will be happy to see me, not annoyed. This is the last couple of Ks now. I think he's probably got about 4k to go. So I'll hopefully see him at about 2k, bring him home, and yeah, that'll be it. One and a half Ks to go, and he's smashing it up the hill. I can barely keep up.
That'll do.
That'll do, pig. That'll do. It's actually pretty good. A couple of low spots, and then like that last 5 to 10k I pushed it a bit just because you can do that. Ticked a lot of boxes today. A lot of things were alright. A few things to fix up over the next 3 to 4 weeks or so, but otherwise very successful. And I'm hungry, which is a good sign. Like, it means that I've kept the intensity right for the most part, and all good. Let's go get a burger. Let's finish this by talking briefly about some reflections of that 100k race simulation run that I did. It's now 3 days later, feeling pretty good. I've still been able to run pretty well, and ready to hit this last kind of 10 days or so of solid training before we taper properly to the BVRT. But the whole point of that weekend training session was to test out nutrition, gear, pacing, a whole range of things ready for race day. So let's talk nutrition first. So throughout that session, I took 11 serves of S Fuels Race Plus, I had 2 Vegemite wraps, 1.5 S Fuels bars, 2 pieces of watermelon, 4 salt tabs, 6 litres of water. I had about 300 mils of coconut water, and then a serve of S Fuels Primed, which was 400 mils as well. So total calorie intake over the 10 hours, around about 10 hours, 2,130 calories. So essentially 200 calories per hour. Then in terms of the carbohydrate intake, 296 grams over the 10 hours, which ended up just a touch under 30 grams of carbohydrate per hour. A total of 6.7 litres of fluid altogether, just over 6,000 milligrams of sodium, so 650 mils per hour of fluid and 600 milligrams per hour of sodium. So in terms of the sodium and fluid, for me in those conditions, got that pretty spot on. And I expect that at the BVRT during the night, when it's a bit cooler, I'll probably take on less fluid. And then during the day, probably similar to what it was for that race simulation. But, and then in terms of the calories and the carbohydrate intake. Now, for an event this long, I'm not too concerned that the carbohydrate intake per hour for that race simulation was only 30 grams per hour, because there's also calories from other macros that are coming in, and you can manage that when you're running at such a low intensity for a long period of time. What's more important to me is the calories per hour. So I'm aiming for something around 200 to 300 calories per hour. It's quite a bit of a range, but I really want to drip feed throughout. 210 calories per hour this time is okay. I probably want to up that just a touch. But the other thing to consider when I'm actually doing the 200 miler at some of those big aid stations, I try and schedule to have breakfast and lunch and dinner and bigger snacks at some of the larger aid stations, which will bring that calorie intake up. And at the end of that session on Sunday, I was feeling hungry and was ready for something more substantial. So nutritionally, very close, pretty happy with how that went. And then obviously the options that I'll have to take on over 200 miles will be more substantial than what I took on that Sunday. In terms of pacing, my plan essentially, we'll talk about this next time, but first 100 miles, 16 to 18 hours, which is 6 to 640 per kilometer, including stops. So then I've got 22 to 24 hours to get the second 100 miles done. On Sunday, I did the 100K in 9:43.54, which is 5:50 per kilometer. That includes 23 minutes of stoppages, one 8-minute stop, a 5-minute stop, and a couple of smaller ones. So the moving pace was actually 5:37 per kilometer, which is a touch over the race day effort that I want for that first 100 miles. But there's a little bit of time that I can pick up at aid stations too. I felt really good at the end. I've got plenty of room to move. I ran all the hills on Sunday, which I won't be doing in the race itself. But the other thing to consider is the elevation. So I had more elevation in the race simulation than I will on race day. 1,500 meters of elevation over 100 kilometers, which is 15 meters of elevation per kilometer, whereas the BVRT is more like 7.5 meters of elevation per kilometer. So I've got some room to move there as well. Felt good, had plenty more in the tank, really happy with how the pacing went. Gear wise, I used the Nathan Pinnacle 4-litre vest on the race simulation. It's too small for what I'll need for the 100 miler. Plus the bottles in the front just wasn't comfortable for me. So I'll have the Pinnacle 12-litre with the bladder in the back, which would be much more comfortable. I've used it before, particularly last year, Unreasonable EAST. I used that same pack. The shoes were great. The Saucony Exodus Ultras are so comfortable. They're fantastic for those long efforts. But I've got 2 pairs of those, which I used on Sunday. But I'll also have Peregrines, I'll have the Saucony Edge, and I'll also have the Endorphin Shift, the road shoes. So I've got a whole range of options and some larger sizes for the back end of the run. The Knockaround Sunnies are fantastic. In the variable conditions we had sunlight, we had cloud cover, we had rainforest, and I didn't have to take them off at all. I could see really clearly, I can see my phone clearly, great clarity in the lens, and I can actually wear them all the time in whatever the conditions are. And the Fractal hats, really comfortable, they're fantastic too. Probably the biggest thing for me to work out is chafing. It's an issue I've had for quite some time, particularly up here in far north Queensland in the heat and humidity. So going to try a couple of new things. Going to try the T8 Commando underwear because I feel like I need to just cover some of that upper thigh area where I've been getting lots of chafe. I'm also going to try the T8 Sherpa shorts, and finally I've got some Squirrels Nut Butter, which I should have been using ages ago, but finally got the good stuff to try. Shirts, socks, good. I'll need warm weather gear for race day. That's one of the big differences from running up here to down there in the BVRT. It's going to be much colder, but otherwise all really going quite well. And then I've got my plan, well, at least a draft plan ready to go for me, for my crew. And so we'll have a look at that next time around. But, you know, all in all, it was a fantastic day. Loved it. Felt really good. Really excited now for the BVRT.